We were brothers. We were stuck together like glue, 24 hours a day. We looked forward to getting into the van, to talking to them on the road to the next gig, talking about our families, our friends, our future, what we were going to do that night. I was the band leader. I was responsible to work out the show for that night. So we'd discuss the program for the next show. And that particular night, I had to work out the program for Banbridge. And basically, that's it. We were brothers through and through.
Fran and Tony and Brian were lovely guys. Great fun to be with. I can imagine if they were here today, they'd be embarrassed with wreaths and flowers and all that kind of thing. They were just ordinary fellows. But the minute you walked on stage with them, they became these huge, charismatic entertainers. And that was the first time I ever played with them. I noticed that the transformation was amazing. And they were also fabulous musicians. We were a Catholic and Protestant band from north and south. So I didn't even know what religion the guys were until they were long dead. So never mattered to us. We knew nothing about politics, and they weren't exactly religious either. So we brought people from both communities together in the dance halls, and they saw each other as human beings, and they met each other and fell in love sometimes. And we were tired because we had played the weekend, then we had played the Monday and Tuesday at the Galway races, which was, the big festival every year. And then we had one more to do, which was Banbridge midweek. Turned out to be sort of, instead of going home, we went into the pages of history.
It was a brilliant night. The audience were great. We all got on. We got an encore. We play an encore. At the end of the encore, we then went off stage to sign autographs for all the fans, sign records for them. Then we went to have a cup of tea and a cup of coffee and a sandwich. We get changed into our civvies and get ready to get on the road to go back to Dublin. This used to be the main road. Be heading down this road, stopped here at this point, asked to get out of the van, what we thought was a normal procedure. We now know that Narek was involved in the whole thing. Narek was involved in the massacre. He planned the massacre, the uniforms, the weaponry, the transport, the 10-pound bomb. Narek carried out everything to a T. And we now have proof of that, and it's in my book. It's in my book, Bisexual and Saved My Life. It's in there. We have proof beyond a shadow of a doubt that Captain Robert Narek was involved in the Miami Massacre and slaughter on the 31st of July 1975. Standing here now is like standing here yesterday. 50 years on. I cannot believe it's 50 years. How time flies. That's all I can say, time flies. And when I look down over that ditch now, to be honest with you, I don't know how the hell I got up, because that's one hell of a drop. So I don't know what got me up there, but something got me up there. But when I got up there onto this road and I saw what I saw, I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. It was horrendous what I saw. When I consider the terrible things that happened down there, I remember when the killing and the shooting and the screaming all stopped, and we were fairly certain that they had gone away, and Des managed to get up onto the road to get into the police station. I remember looking up at the sky. It was a half moon. I can remember it very, very clearly, and thinking to myself, what has just happened here? When I consider the awful, awful things that I saw down there, I was here for almost an hour crawling around between the bodies of our lads and the body parts of the unfortunate men who blew themselves up. Those memories would stay with me forever. It's not just memories, they're ever present.
And some of our memories, it's as fresh as the day it happened. It certainly is in mine. It certainly is in my mind as fresh as the night. The phone call in the middle of the night, would I go and help to break the news to the O'Toole family, and Up the road from me, where I lived in Mount Argus, was the Geraghty family in the top of Stanaway Road. And the sadness that we all had to, the unbelief that anyone in show business would be targeted in such a way. Because the one thing that we all prided ourselves in show business at that time was the fact that show business was a place where politics and bigotry was left aside. And why anyone would want to do something to hurt people like that, even in our time in the North, it just didn't seem right. And 50 years later, it still doesn't seem right.
50 years seems like 50 seconds for most of the victims of all of the atrocities. But the question that we've been asked consistently this morning is, how do we feel about this? And it's a mixed bag of emotions and relief. Had this operation gone successfully, and had we been framed as terrorists, our families would have been destroyed. This is the tragedy. It's not just us that this thing was aimed at. It was a brilliant plan had it worked. Every single Irish passport holder across the diaspora around the world would have been suspect and dragged into this had it worked. So today, when we're asked how I feel about this, it is of mixed emotions. One is of great relief that I'm alive and that Des is alive and Brian and Ray is alive after 50 years. But there's another relief that the Irish people were saved the ignominy of being dragged into police stations, whether they were crossing the border of Germany into Switzerland or whether they're crossing from America into Canada. This was the plan. Thank God we're alive, and I know there's a greater power than us, and that we will persevere, we will find some sort of peace, but without justice there can be no peace. But the legacy of the Miami Showband is one that I'm enormously proud of, and it is simply this, that when people came to see us, whether they were Catholic, Protestant, Unionist, Nationalists, they left sectarianism outside the door of the dance hall and they saw each other as human beings, which is what we are, and they danced with each other. And sometimes they even fell in love, and there are people in this world who wouldn't have been born without a Miami Showband dance. So from Dickie Rock to Des Lee to all of us, thank you so much for being here and remembering them today. Thank you.